A letter written by Princess Diana, a portrait of John Lennon, as well as Casinoplex. From the first James Bond film for decades, people have been trying to know what Princess Diana secretly shared with her boys, Prince William and Prince Harry. Well, a letter that has been tucked away from inquisitive eyes has finally popped up, and it's like peeking straight into the soul of a mom who didn't play by the royal rulebook. What did she express in her handwriting? Can this give us a clue into her last days? Let's find out the last expression she made through pens and paper. Princess Diana's letters in July 2004. Everybody started talking about Sordors. Auction house, they were putting up more than a dozen letters Princess Diana wrote herself for sale. These weren't just fancy royal notes, they were personal. Straight from the heart letters to Violet Collison, who had been the Spencer family's housekeeper. Violet was there for Diana from the start. Watching her go from a bubbly kid running around Park House on the Sandringham estate to becoming the Princess of Wales. The auction excited people who love royal stuff, but it also kicked up some dust about the monarchy. It showed how tight Diana was with the people who worked for her family, which got folks thinking the letters stretched from when Diana got engaged to Prince Charles to when her boys William and Harry were little. They let you peek into her real life, one written on July 8th, 1981. Just a few weeks before her wedding, said to Violet, "Everybody's racing around here, fixing up last-minute stuff. But the bride's keeping her cool, that easy way of talking, showed how down-to-earth she was. And it's why people adored her. Those bits of her life showed how warm she was, and how she stayed close to folks outside the palace. When word of the auction spread, it shook up the royal crowd. The British monarchy was used to people nosing around, but selling these private letters sparked debate about whether that was okay. Some said it was wrong to let Diana's feelings out like that, because she never meant for the world to see those things. Others thought it proved she was real, connecting with people, no matter who they were. As the auction day got closer, the whole world started paying attention. Collectors and fans couldn't wait to grab a piece of Diana's story. The letters were set to bring in big money, and it was all heading to charities she and Violet cared about. The auction folks kept saying how special the letters were looking at Diana's life, like nothing else could, than just days before the sale. Something wild turned up. They found a letter nobody knew about, stuffed in an old book of Violet's. This one wasn't to Violet. It was to the Queen in it. Diana explained how tough things were in the royal family, how alone she felt, and how she wanted the monarchy to change and catch up with the times. She kept it polite, but didn't sugarcoat her struggles or what she hoped for. That surprise letter threw everything off balance. It could shift how people see Diana and the royals. The auction house had to decide whether to sell it and watch the bid soar or hold it back to keep the royal family's secret safe. After chewing it over, they put it out there. Saying it mattered too much to hide the auction, they was nuts. People from all over fought to buy the letters, and that went to the Queen. Everybody wanted it. It went for a crazy amount. Though nobody knows who got it, the money went to charities. Just like Diana always cared about those letters hitting the news. Especially the Queen's. Became huge. People couldn't stop talking about them. Many saw it as proof that Diana wanted the monarchy open to regular folks. The royal family kept their usual quiet, but someone from the palace said these letters show how close Diana was to the people she trusted, and never stopped working for the causes she loved. By the end of it, that July 2024 auction hit hard as a reminder of Diana's mark. It showed her rough times with the royals, and how she stuck to being honest and kind, finding that letter to the Queen piled a new piece to her story, letting people see deeper into how she fits with the monarchy. One thing stood out as folks thought it all over. Diana's influence still shook things up with the British royal family even years after she was gone. What was the content of her letter to the late Queen Elizabeth II? And how does it influence the monarchy today? Princess Diana's letter to the Queen in the early 1990s. Princess Diana's marriage fell apart, and the whole world couldn't stop watching her. Every move during all that mess, she did something gutsy that nobody saw coming. She wrote a letter straight to Queen Elizabeth II. In it, she poured out her worries about where the British monarchy was headed and shared her ideas on how it could fit better into today's world. Historians and royal fans couldn't believe it when they heard later. For years, people thought that letter was gone for good. Then in 2024, it popped up out of nowhere. At Sordor's auction house, they were selling a bunch of Diana's letters. But this one to the Queen, it was different. It let everyone see what Diana thought about the royal family and what she hoped it would become. In the letter, Diana didn't hold back. She said the royals needed to loosen up, get closer to regular people, and show they understood what folks were going through. She wrote, our families got to change with the times, be more open and caring, so we can keep doing good and matter to people. She also opened up about her tough times in the royal household, how lonely she felt, and how she wished they would have her back more. She figured if they could sort out their problems, the monarchy would look stronger to everyone else. People studying history have always wondered how Diana shaped the royal family. Dr. Andrew Morton, who wrote a big book about her, said Diana knew the monarchy had to switch things up. This letter shows she was thinking ahead and really cared about what happened to it. Royal watchers agreed in an interview. Simon Perry, a guy who has been reporting on the royals forever, said this letter proves Diana got what her job was and why the monarchy had to stay important. She wanted it to keep up with the world. Finding this letter cleared up some things about Diana and the Queen. Many folks thought they didn't get along, but this shows Diana wasn't afraid to talk straight to her. It hints they had more going on between them than people guessed. Historians are eating this up. Dr. Sarah Jenkins, who knows much about recent British history, said these letters are gold. They make the Queen and Diana feel real, not just faces from the news, and show they were trying to figure out how to mix old ways with new ones. For royal fans and regular people, these letters portray Diana as someone who pushed for change. She wasn't afraid to discuss difficult issues with the Queen, which shows how much she believed the monarchy could improve. Selling these letters got people talking about whether it's right to share personal stuff. Like this, some say it's too private and should stay that way. Others, like Emily Nash, who comments on royal news, think it's worth it. She said, sure, these are personal, but they tell us so much about what the royals were dealing with. Back then, the Queen also wrote a letter to Princess Diana, which was a painful experience for the people's princess. Let's examine the content of her letter and how it affected the monarchy. The Queen's letter. No one can deny that Princess Diana went through pain in her marriage. From the onset, it looks like that. Then Prince Charles was not truly in love with Diana, but had to marry her, because she gave the perfect image of a princess and a future queen for the British monarchy. When asked if he loved her, he gave one of the most infamous answers: whatever in love is. But that was not all. While still married to Princess Diana, he jokingly admitted his wish to have married 2 wives. Though everyone laughed it off, he was already into a second woman, which eventually led to his separation from her. However, right after Princess Diana's stunning panorama interview with Martin Bashir in 1995, she got a handwritten letter from the Queen that made it crystal clear. her marriage to Prince Charles was over. It came in November 1995. After Diana dropped the bombshell line, there were 3 of us in this marriage, talking about Charles and his longtime love. Camilla, that shocking interview, watched by 22.8 people, humiliated the royal family. Diana didn't hold back. She said the monarchy needed to get with the times, and even called Charles's side the enemy. It threw the royals into a mess, with most folks taking Diana's side. That's what pushed the Queen to write her a letter, and it left no room for doubt about how ticked off she was about the whole thing. The Queen said, "I've talked to the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Prime Minister, and of course Charles, and we've all agreed. The best thing for you is a divorce." This reveals that Diana was not loved by the royal family, but was used because she possessed everything a future queen would. Diana was reportedly furious when she read it. She felt like they were shoving a divorce down her throat when she didn't even want one. She told her butler, Paul Burrell, "That's a laugh they think they can just decide. If I get divorced a few days later." Buckingham Palace said after looking at how things stand, the Queen told them what they thought with the Duke of Edinburgh backing her up, that a quick divorce is the way to go the next year. On August 28, 1996, the divorce was finalized. It wrapped up a marriage that kicked off with a massive fairy tale wedding at St. Paul's Cathedral on July 29, 1981. As part of the deal, Charles and Diana agreed to split custody of their boys. William and Harry. Diana was said to have gotten a one-time payment of 17 million euros plus 350,000 euros a year to keep her private office running. She was also allowed to stay in her apartments at Kensington Palace. But one thing they took away was her title of Her Royal Highness. From then on, she was just Diana, Princess of Wales. Losing that Her Royal Majesty meant friends, and staff didn't have to bow or curtsy to her anymore. Worse, though, it meant she would have to curtsy to her ex-husband. Her sons and other royals. Rumour has it that the Queen was fine with keeping the title, since she was the mother of a future king. But with Diana more popular than ever, Charles dug in his heels and insisted she lose it, which upset her. It sparked a sad moment between her and her 14-year-old son, Prince William, that had her in tears. According to Burrell, the young prince supposedly told her, "Don't worry, Mummy, I'll give it back to you someday when I'm king." After her divorce from Prince Charles in 1996, Princess Diana changed her life and the mark she would leave on the world. She walked away from over 100 charities, picking just 6 that she cared about Centrepoint. English National Ballet, Great Ormond Street Hospital, the Leprosy Mission, National Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, Trust, and the Royal Marsden Hospital. She poured more of herself into what meant the most to her, by cutting back. Hence, she threw herself even harder into helping people. She spoke out loud and clearly about human immunodeficiency, viruses, and acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Trying to knock down the fear and wrong ideas, one time that stuck with everyone was when she shook hands with acquired immunodeficiency syndrome patients. No gloves, just her bare hands. It was a small thing, but it hit big, showing folks they didn't need to be scared, meeting those patients face to face and treating them with warmth. She made it clear that kindness beat out panic every time she didn't stop there. Diana also took a stand against landmines in January 1997. She went to Angola with the International Red Cross, shining a light on how those awful weapons hurt people. She put on protective gear and walked through a minefield they had just cleared that picture of her. Out there became a huge deal by going straight into a place like that. She showed the world how bad landmines were, and how much they needed to go to keep regular folks safe. Even with all she was doing in the open, Diana had private worries. She told the people she trusted that she felt like someone was always watching her in a letter to her butler. Paul Burrell, she wrote, "This part of my life feels like the most dangerous," she mentioned. Seeing cars with no markings tailing her and getting creepy, nameless threats. It all made her think somebody was out to get her. Those fears weren't just in her head. In 2003, Burrell shared a note Diana wrote back in 1995, where she said she thought Prince Charles was setting up an accident in my car that would leave her with a bad head injury, making it easy for him to marry again. That stirred up a lot of talk that had been simmering about how she died with those thoughts weighing on her. Diana leaned harder into her charity work. It was like a safe spot for her, keeping her going. Helping out gave her a reason to push forward, letting her focus on others even when her life felt shaky. Then out of nowhere, some newly found letters showed she had a surprising friend during those rough days. The Queen Mother, the notes. They swapped back and forth, paint a picture of two people who got each other and lifted each other in one. The Queen Mother wrote, "My dear Diana, don't forget, courage is what holds everything else together." Seeing those words flips the idea that Diana was cut off from the royal family. It turns out she had someone in her corner, at least now and then. Now that those letters are out for everyone to see, they give a clearer view of Diana's last years. They show how she kept going, sticking to the work she loved, no matter what she was against. Even with fear and doubt hanging over her, she stayed set on improving things, confirming that her influence went past the palace gates. Unfortunately, Diana passed away after a car crash in Paris on August 31st, 1997, along with her companion, Dodi Fayed. The Bashir interview that started it all got slammed later on when Lord Dyson looked into it and found that Bashir had pulled some shady tricks to get Diana to talk. The report said he had acted wrongly and broken British Broadcasting Corporation rules. But before this, Diana, always writing with the consciousness that her time was fast going, left a letter to her lovely children. Princess Diana's letter about her lovely children. Prince William and Harry often talked about their happy moments with their mom, Princess Diana at Kensington Palace. A sweet letter auctioned off in the United Kingdom gave royal fans a small look at how much those days mattered. The note, written by hand on June 21st, 1989, came from Diana to Sergeant George Plum of Scotland Yard's top close protection group. She thanked him for setting up a fun motorcycle show for William's 7th birthday. It was on official Kensington Palace paper, signed by Diana, and had the scribbled signatures of William and a 5-year-old Harry, to dear Sergeant Plum. "It was so nice of you and your team to come here today for William's birthday." Diana wrote in that letter, "I can't even tell you how much joy the show brought to all those kids and their moms. I knew you were all really busy right then, so it meant a lot more to us that you and the motorcycle crew could join the birthday party. This was our way of saying the warmest thank you. We could yours. Sincerely, Diana, William, Harry." There was another letter too sent from St. James's Palace by Diana's lady-in-waiting, Anne Beckwith Smith, to Sergeant Plum's boss, Chief Superintendent Wigglesworth. It doubled down on how thankful the royal family felt the Princess of Wales was so thankful to Sergeant Plum and his team for making Prince William's 7th birthday such a special day. And everyone grown UPS, and kids had a great time watching the show. Beckwith Smith wrote she was extra grateful to the team for squeezing it in on a day already full of official duties made tougher by the rail underground and bus strike. It meant a ton, and I hoped special thanks could reach everyone involved. Especially Sergeant Plum. Those letters were auctioned online by William George. and company along with a Buckingham Palace envelope addressed to Sergeant George, Plum Special Escort Group, in Diana's handwriting. Besides writing about the lovely moments she had with her children, Diana also wrote about protecting them and how they should be allowed to navigate the pressures of the monarchy away from media intrusion. Princess Diana, who folks called the People's Princess, had a tough job raising her boys, Prince William and Prince Harry, with their eyes on them. Being part of the British royal family, she knew how pushy the press could get. She had been chased by photographers herself. Plenty of times she didn't want that for her kids. So she worked hard to keep them out of that mess, using smart deals, careful choices about how they lived, and even giving up some things herself. Diana handled things by talking straight to the press to set some rules about her boys. She knew William and Harry, being next in line for the throne, were like gold to photographers and gossip papers. So she set up planned picture-taking times like their first days at school, or trips with the family. And in return, she asked for some quiet stretches. Andrew Martin wrote in his 1992 book, Diana, Her True Story, that she teamed up with palace press folks to draw lines, which wasn't how royals usually did things back then. Those set-up shots gave people a quick look at the young princes, while keeping the paparazzi from hounding them all the time. On top of that, Diana tried to let her sons feel what regular life was like, far from the fancy shut-off world of the royals. According to Ken Wharf, her old protection officer, she took them to places like McDonald's amusement parks and even rode buses with them. He noted this in his 2002 book, Diana Closely Guarded Secret. These weren't just fun ideas. She did it intentionally to show William and Harry what normal days felt like, so they wouldn't be seen as their titles or what the cameras caught. She also brought them to homeless shelters and hospitals, teaching them to care about others and keeping them tied to the real world outside the palace. She told Martin Bashir from the British Broadcasting Corporation in 1995, "I want them to get how people feel," showing she wanted to guard their kind sides from the harsh side of being famous. Diana also played the media game herself to keep the attention off her boys, her life with its big wedding, messy divorce and work. Helping people always grabbed headlines in the rocky, early 1990s when she split from Prince Charles. She used her charm and honest talk to pull the spotlight her way. Royal historian Robert Lacey wrote in his 2020 book, Battle of Brothers, that Diana sharing stuff like her eating struggles and marriage troubles was partly to give her sons some breathing room from the cameras. You could see it in her Panorama interview. She laid it all out there, knowing it would steal the news and give her boys a break from the fuss for a bit. She also considered their schooling. Diana picked Wetherby School and Ludgrove School for William and Harry, places known for keeping things secret and handling the press. She made sure they had peace during school terms, which Prince Charles backed her up on, so the boys could be kids there, not princes from her run-ins with reporters. She knew how much always being watched could wear a person down, and she wanted better for them. Even with all she did, the press wouldn't quit. It ended in the worst way when she died in a car crash in 2000 Paris on August 31st, 1997, running from the paparazzi. William and Harry, just 15 and 12, lost her protection all at once, and had to grieve with the world, watching the same crowd she had tried to hold back. However, what she did stuck with them in a 2017 home box office show, Diana, Our Mother. William said she'd have been a nightmare to the paparazzi now. Harry remembered how she worked to keep us safe. Her mix of public duty and private life gave them ways to handle the spotlight, even if it couldn't block it completely. Diana protected them by knowing the press firsthand, standing up to it, and loving her boys hard. She couldn't keep them out of the glare, but she made sure they had some normal times and tenderness to lean on something you can still see in them. Prince William and Prince Harry. Princess Diana's boys have each gone their way, carrying her mark while dealing with the same press attention she faced and tried to keep off them. Diana's touch, her big heart, her push to raise them humbly, and her distrust of reporters still guides how they live and handle their royal jobs as the next wave of the British royal family. They've worked to be real, often dodging the spotlight, and the everyday lessons Diana taught them are shaping their ideas and how they act in public. In big ways. You can see Diana's kindness and care in what her sons do. William, now the Prince of Wales, took up mental health with his heads together. Project, which started in 2016 with his wife Catherine and Harry. It's a lot like how Diana opened up about her own tough times and got close to people.